Good day and welcome to our GTAC Tech Talk webinar on Genetec Licensing. My name is Derek and I'm a Technical Support Representative with the Genetec Technical Assistance Center, or GTAC for short. Today we're going to be looking at everything you need to know about licensing your Genetec software. This includes Omnicast, Synergis Security Center, and AutoVu. We'll take a look at full purchase licenses as well as what you need to know about demo licenses as well. So we're going to start with a quick overview of how licenses are used in a Genetec system. From there we'll take a look at the different kinds of licenses. Then we'll see what all those license components really mean. And after that we'll take a quick look at what is included in the various base packages. We'll cover that for Omnicast first, and then we'll take a look at Security Center with Synergis and AutoVu. Finally we'll take a look at the different ways you can activate the license and do some practical examples at the same time. I'm going to cover that in about 40 minutes, and then for the next 10 minutes after that we'll do a little summary and look at some frequently asked questions. As with our previous webinars, we have members of the GTAC staff standing by to answer your questions. Just type in your question in the GoToWebinar console and someone will get back to you shortly. Now, we'll handle as many questions as we can in the time we have, but if you have any other questions, or if there's any that we're not able to get to, we'll send you an email with your answer as soon as we can. Now, the questions from the webinar will be posted on the GTAP forum in the GTAC Tech Talk section. If you have any further questions, they can be asked here as well, and someone will get back to you with an answer. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future webinars, we'd love to hear them, and you can post those comments on the GTAP forums as well. Now you can find the videos from the previous GTAC Tech Talk webinars on the GTAP as well. Just go to the Tools section under Utilities, and then you expand the GTAC Tech Talk section group header here. Now, before we go into all the different types of licenses, what's in them, and how to activate them, let's take a general overview of licensing in general. The Genetec software itself is freely distributed, but we require the servers to be licensed in order to prevent unauthorized access. We do that by matching the license with the hardware that it's being installed on. The two key elements to licensing the software are the validation key and the license key. The validation key is like a snapshot or fingerprint of the system. Now, it holds various information of the system the software is installed on. This information is gathered by our server admin, and that creates our validation key. This validation key must be provided to the Genetec licensing server in order to build a license key. Now, once the license key has been generated and applied to the system in the server admin once again, the software will compare the information it has in the license key with the system that it has been installed on. If the system information does not match the license key information, the software will not think it's on the same PC as it was licensed for, and it won't allow the services for an application is to be used. The Omnicast license information is stored in the registry, so if we have a situation where the registry has been restored from another machine, or we have a hardware change that affects the system information, we need to clear out the license and validation keys in the registry. The Security Center license information is stored in a config file, and in the case where we made a hardware change that affects the system information or restored an image of another server, that can be cleared out manually as well. Should you need any assistance with this, please give the GTAC a call and we can help you out. Now, there are a few different ways of licensing the software depending on the application being licensed, but they all follow the same general method of providing the Genetec licensing server with the information via the validation key, and then incorporating that license file that has been generated into the server admin. So let's have a look at a complete system hierarchy in general. So systems, which are groups of one or more licenses, are identified by their system ID. Licenses are identified by their license name, and that can be changed in most cases to match the location or PC that the license has been installed on. Within the licenses are parts, and those tell the system which capabilities the software has and how many connections we have available for each one. So if we take a quick look at our example here, we have the Genetec main office, which is our whole system. It's an Omnicast 4.6 system, as you can tell by the part here, and it has a system ID of OMN 0806167000630. Now within this system we have a directory server at the head office, and that's been named appropriately enough, head office. On this server we have added 10 client connections and 65 camera connections. Now we have 2 remote archivers on the system, and since this is an enterprise package, which you can tell by the E here, we have an unlimited number of remote archivers. So prior to Omnicast 4.6, we would have had a license on the system for each one, defining the storage space and camera connections for each archiver. As well as the remote archivers, we also have a failover directory, and that's another server that's on our system. This requires a separate license and has a part to specify that that option is supported. The generic license that is applied to all remote archivers as of Omnicast 4.6 has an unlimited amount of storage and can handle our recommended maximum load of 300 cameras, encoders, or decoders. Now, just please note that the 300 cameras is the recommended maximum for any system, but the actual number of cameras the archiver can safely handle is dependent on the hardware in use and the image quality selected. Some components come as parts of the base packages, and some must be added to the license in the form of a part number. Now we'll go into that more later on, but just for a quick example, part of the Omnicast Enterprise base package, that's our OME base here. It's the audio support, but for the license to support Active Directory integration, we would want to add the part number OMP, in our case, sorry, OME, because it's Enterprise, ACD. Now that we've seen the big picture, let's take a closer look at each part of the license and the licensing process. Now the first thing we should look into are the different types of licenses, and the differences between them and where we need to go to activate them. We'll cover the actual activation process later on, but it's important to know where to license the software depending on the system ID. So we're going to cover Omnicast first, and we'll take a look at this for Security Center in a couple of minutes. So before we look at all the different license types and system ID formats, let me just mention that like any other software package, the Genetec Licensing server has evolved and undergone upgrades in the past. For this reason, there is more than one tool that is used to license the software depending on the license type. At Genetec, we are constantly trying to make the licensing process more efficient and secure, and for that reason we have occasionally had to make a jump to a new application in order to accomplish this. There are 3 main license tools we'll be using to view systems and manage the licenses within those systems. The first license tool is the Genetec Technical Assistance Portal, or GTAP. There are 2 types of license we would be using the GTAP for. The first type is any Omnicast Standard, Pro, or Enterprise license that is version 4.0 or above. And as we can see from the examples here, the system IDs can be either in the 3339 format or in the new OMN 66 format. The first 6-digit number in the new system ID format is the creation date of the license. So if we look at our example down here, the creation date for this license was June 16th, 2008. The second type of license we'd use the GTAP for is a full demo. This is similar to the OMN 66 system ID, but the prefix would be DEM. This type of demo system can be reset, modified, and we can view the parts that are contained within the licenses, just like a regular Omnicast system. We'll see why this is important in a minute when we look at temporary demo systems. Now, in order to make any changes to the system or the licenses contained within it, we would first have to go to gtap.genetec.com, and from here we would log in with our system ID and the password to that system ID. This was provided to you in a PDF document when the license was created. So here is an example of the PDF file. I'll just bring one over here. So this is the PDF that was sent. It'd be a good idea to keep these PDF files somewhere safe, just as long as you can remember where it is when you need it. If you've forgotten the password and can't find the PDF document, we can help reset that for you. Alright, one quick note regarding the GTAP. Let me just actually bring that up and I'll get logged in. Okay, so here's our GTAP screen, and I'm just going to get logged in with one of my test system IDs. Okay. So what we can do, I'm actually just copying and pasting the system ID and the password. And we'll get logged in here. Okay, so one quick note as well, you can actually log in using your the credentials that you're given for the GTAP as well. And from the system browser, you'd have a list here, and you can browse to any ID that is assigned to your system. Now, if you don't have GTAP access, you can click on the New to GTAP link from the main GTAP sign-in screen. Now, in order to pull up systems, your company must be listed as an integrator, distributor, or end user for the system in order to view it in the system browser. So we can see here the end user is Genetec. We don't actually have an integrator for this license. Now from the system browser, either logged in with the GTAP account or with the system ID and the password, there's a couple of handy options here. If you're not in the latest version, which this license is, we're on 4.6, if you have a valid SMA, which you can check from the SMA tab here. So in this case we have one, and you'd have an upgrade button over here actually. You could click on this to upgrade your system, but please take note that this changes the expiration date on the old system to 30 days from the time the system was upgraded. Now another thing we have is our download software button on the side, and if we click on that, it brings up a window, and that gives us the links to all the current version of the software for the version we have selected for the system. Let me just close that. Okay. Okay, so the second license tool that we're going to be looking at is from the Genetec main website. It's the Omnicast 3.0 and 3.5 tool. Now, this one is used for any Omnicast licenses that are for version 3.0, 3.5, or any Omnicast 4.0 system that is not a standard Pro or Enterprise package. A few examples of these are Retail Lite or an older purchase demo system. Those systems were not migrated over to the new license tool when it was brought online. Now, all the system IDs here, they follow the 3339 format. Now, to get to the license tool, we need to go to the main Genetec website, which I'll just bring that up here now. Here we go. So we're actually on www.genetec.com. We go under the support menu, and then we go to licenses. And if we look below here, we're going to find our Omnicast 3.0 and 3.5 license tool. We can also go directly to the tool by following the link that is in the chart here. And that's the link here, licensing.genetec.com/licenses. The last license tool that we need to consider is under the same section in the Genetec website. So I'll just pop that back up here. And if we go down, it's this one here, the demo licenses DEM. And this is for Omnicast temporary demo licenses. These are demo licenses that have an expiration date assigned to them, and typically it's for a few months at a time. The system ID for these demos follow the DEM 339 format, and these are one-shot demo licenses that can be used for a wide range of purposes, from temporary testing to giving demonstrations to potential customers. So again, it's the same license page as before from the Genetec website. Either that, or you can use the link here, licensing.genetec.com/demo licenses. Now, one thing worth mentioning is that these licenses cannot be reset and can be used only once. So if we make a change on the PC so that the license key does not recognize the server anymore, we'll have to generate a new license for the system. This is very quick, and either the support or sales department can assist you with that. Now, due to the temporary nature of these licenses, we cannot see or modify the parts used in the creation of the licenses for demo systems. Alright, so now that we know the different types of licenses, let's have a look at what the different basic components mean and how they apply to our system. Omnicast licenses are divided into two categories: directory options and archiver options. The directory is the big boss. It keeps an eye on the whole system and verifies that there are license options available for whatever component is trying to connect to the system. This includes our core services, such as our archivers, gateways, and virtual matrices, and metadata engines. When one of these services attempts to connect to our system, it has to check with the directory and to make sure there's an available license option to do so. The directory also keeps track of things like plugin and SDK connections. Now, the two main components of the directory license that are very important are our client connections and our camera and analog monitor connections. The client connections limit how many client workstation applications can connect to the system. So if a workstation is running both the live viewer and the archive player, that counts as two connections. However, the client software can be installed on as many PCs as you would like. Only the active connections are counted. Now, similar to our client connections are the SDK connections. We need to have enough SDK connections on the license to cover the number of SDK applications that are connecting to the system. The camera and analog monitor connections determine how many cameras, encoders, and decoders can be connected to the system at any given time. Now, analog cameras are not counted, but the ports on the encoder are. This means that if we have a 4-port encoder on the system with all ports active, it will take up 4 encoder and decoder connections, even if we only have 2 cameras plugged in, like in our situation here. Now, you can also refer to the specific unit's manual to see if some of these ports can be disabled. So this is an option on certain hardware encoders and decoders, but it's something that has to actually be set up within the unit. So related to this, let's take a look at the archiver options. These are these are the license limitations that relate specifically to the archiver. In the archiver options, we also have a camera count, as we can see up here. This indicates the maximum number of cameras we can have connected to this archiver at any given time. The global camera count, which is kept by the directory, still takes precedence over this. If we have 100 camera connections on the archiver, this means we can have a maximum of 100 cameras connected to the archiver if the directory license permits this. In this case, we have 75 actually. So in the case where we have 75 camera connections on the archiver, but only 30 encoder-decoder connections on the directory, we'll never be able to put more than 30 cameras on that archiver. So let's take a quick glance at an example. Our directory here has a limit of 100 encoders and decoders, or cameras. and our 3 archivers each have a limit of 300 cameras. So if we have 40 IP cameras on each remote archiver, and we have 20 on the main directory, then our directory encoder-decoder limit will have been reached. Even though there's lots of room left on the archivers, we won't be able to add any more cameras. If we try to add a camera to one of the archivers, it'll show up in red and not allow the connection. Now, some of the other archiver options to take note of are the storage limit and the location of the archiving. We can archive locally on units, or in a case where we have edge recorders, we can do it on both. If you have an edge recorder but your archiver license option limits you to recording locally only, you will not be able to access the video that has been recorded on the edge unit. As previously mentioned, with our latest version of Omnicast, version 4.6, 4.6, we have changed up the archiving options a little bit. The remote archivers themselves no longer need a specific license. They'll take a generic license file, which will give them unlimited storage, a 300 camera limit, and that's our recommended maximum. The other options are being monitored by the directory license. I just want to emphasize one very important change when it comes to installing the remote archiver in Omnicast 4.6. At the end of the server archiver server install, the install shield will bring up the server admin. In previous versions, this is where we would apply our archiver license, close the server admin, and the installation would finish. However, in Omnicast 4.6, it's applying a generic license file to the archivers, but this process is done at the end of the installation. So when installing a 4.6 remote archiver and the server admin comes up, just go ahead and close it without activating a license. The install shield will apply the generic license and complete normally. From the server admin of the remote archiver, you should see that the information is being pulled from the directory by the C directory notification in the company name and the system ID. The maximum number of archivers you can have available is limited by the Omnicast software package purchased. We'll see more about that in a couple of minutes. Alright, now if any changes are made to your system, you can take a look at the components on the GTAP and compare them to what your server admin is reporting. If you see a difference, you may need to download and reapply a new license key to get the updated changes to take effect. What is being reported on the GTAP is what should be on your system. What is in your server admin is currently being used on your system. So let's take a quick look at what is included in the license packages for Omnicast. So we'll take a look at the most recent version of the software, Omnicast 4.6. But if you have any questions about what is included in previous packages, please let us know or contact your regional sales manager. In Omnicast, we have 3 packages available: Standard, Pro, and Enterprise. The Standard package is for a single server. It includes the basic license options such as alarm management, audio support, and HTML maps. Since it's for a single server system, it only comes with 1 archiver, gateway and virtual matrix license for the directory server, and 5 client connections. This can be used for a maximum of 50 cameras. And as you can see from the diagram, the Pro package gives us a maximum of 100 cameras, 20 archivers, and we have 10 client connections. It also adds on things like macros, edge recording, and SDK integration. Finally, the Enterprise package is for systems where we want to have unlimited growth. The number of archivers, cameras, and clients we can have on an enterprise-level system are all unlimited. Now, on top of the options that are available in the previous 2 packages, we can also have things like federation, failover, and plugin integration available. Now, please note that in some cases, options are available for a package but still require the purchase of the license option, such as Active Directory, federation, or SDK connections. Now let's switch over. We're going to take a look at Security Center. And with Security Center, we can have systems that incorporate Synergis, and now with version 4, AutoVu as well. Similar to Omnicast, we have 2 main license tools to consider. The first is the Genetec Technical Assistance Portal, and it's used to activate any Standard, Pro, or Enterprise Synergis or Security Center license. Now this is the same as outlined previously in the Omnicast section, so we'll skip over the login process. The format of the system IDs that are used with the GTAP license tool are SYN66 format licenses, GSC66 systems, and DEM66 systems as well. So also any previous Synergis, Standard, or Pro systems that have a system ID with the 3339 format, they're migrated over to the new license tool and can be found in the GTAP as well, but they will have been assigned a new system ID in the SYN66 format, or if they're upgraded, the GSC format. The second license tool is for temporary demo activations. It's the same link as we used before for Omnicast, but it's on the Synergis side. And we reach it from the same web page on the Genetec website as with the Omnicast demo licenses, and clicking on the link titled Demo Licenses DEM. Just going to bring that up real quick just to show you here. And see, it's both got the same link. But you can use either one, so just for simplicity's sake, we've put it on the Synergis and Security Center side here as well. Okay, so before we move on to the license components, I want to take a minute to go over the upgrade process for a Synergis license. Synergis was a standalone application up to version 2.1. Beyond that, Synergis is a component of the Security Center, and which is why Security Center starts at version 3.0. When we're upgrading a Synergis system from version 2.1 or prior to Security Center, the system needs to generate a new system ID for the new system. Since this is a new system ID, the numbers will change, and the prefix will change from SYN to GSC. So if we take a look at our example here, we had a Synergis 2.1 system, and that was upgraded. In the upgrade process, the system details and license components were converted over to Security Center parts. A new system ID was generated, and it was done using the date of the upgrade, and it's given the GSC prefix as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the license components for Synergis and Security Center. The main thing to look for in a Synergis system, either standalone as in versions 2.1 or lower, or part of Security Center 3 or 4, are the client connections and the unit connections. As with Omnicast, only active client connections are counted, so any workstation that has Security Desk installed but is not logged in will not be counted. Now, when looking at the parts for the unit connections, we need to consider the types of units that are being added. The unit type determines how many readers, inputs, and outputs will be allocated to the system. For example, if we have one V100 connection, we know that supports 6 input pin connections, 4 output pins, and 2 readers. Now, note that there's no part number for an HID V1000 because it does not have any readers, inputs, or outputs in the unit itself, and rather it gets its connections from the V100s, 200s, and 300s that are attached to it. So basically, the individual reader connections are not added to the license, but rather connections to the unit that supports the reader. So if we take a look at our second example here, the V200 part that was added to the license, we've got 4 here, so when we add one of them on, it's going to add 16 input pin connections and 2 output pin connections. That's how many that we know are standard for that type of hardware. Now, other important parts of the Security Center system that can be licensed are the badge designer, custom fields, and the connection to an Omnicast system. In a Security Center license, it is called the Omnicast video module, and this will allow for federated directory connections to connect to an Omnicast system. Now, if we consider AutoVu systems, we do not have any system IDs prior to version 4.4. As of version 4.4, it connects through Security Center 4.0, and we'll be using a Security Center system ID. Previously, we were using a plugin within Omnicast to connect to the Sharp cameras, which is no longer needed in Security Center. In terms of the important license connections in Security Center, we need to have the AutoVu base package, as well as either Sharp camera connections for fixed systems, or a license for the vehicle usage type, such as law enforcement or city parking enforcement. We also need to specify if maps will be used, and if we're bringing information over from our previous system, we'll need to make sure we have the data import option enabled as well. In this case, we do not have it because we were just creating a new system in this case. I just want to clarify that the license is needed on the Security Center side, but licenses for the vehicles are not required. However, if we don't have the license connections in the Security Center, the vehicles will not be able to connect, and the data collected will be of little value. Now, from the config tool in our Security Center, we can take a look under the system to see how many licenses have been used up. The first number next to the license option is the number in use, and the second number is the max number of connections available. So that's our total connections here, the second one. An option in yellow has reached its maximum number of connections. So in this case, we were looking at the Omnicast system that we have connected through Federation. So we've got the one federated system, that's as many as we can hold. We've added one camera, and we can have a possibility of adding 7 more. Now in the server admin, we can also look up our SMA information and see any purchase history since the last activation. This would be a good place to look if additional parts were added to the system, but we're not sure if the current license reflects those changes. So taking a look at the Security Center license packages, again we have a standard, Pro, and Enterprise package. The Security Center base package comes with a Security Center directory connection, one client connection, alarm management, map support, macro support, and advanced reporting. Depending on the use of the Security Center installation, we can also add on base packages for Synergis and AutoVu as well. Other options such as email notification and Active Directory integration are also available. We can additionally purchase support for Omnicast Federation integration to bring cameras into our Security Center. Now, looking at what is included as parts of the standard package, including Synergis, we have a maximum of 1 access manager, 37,000 card holders, 64 readers, and we also have 5 client connections. The Pro package allows for a maximum of 2 access managers. We have 60,000 card holders and 256 readers. And we can also have up to 50 client connections. Now with the Enterprise package, again like the Omnicast system, we can have an unlimited number of access manager connections, card holders, readers, and client or visitor connections. As well, similar to Omnicast, some of the options come with the base package, such as zone monitoring, but others, like the badge designer, are purchasable options. One other base package we can have a look at, which is in addition to Security Center, is the AutoVu package. Now, the base package comes with 1 LPR manager and 2 Sharp connections. Additional Sharp camera connections can be purchased and added to this base package. So we can also add mobile Sharp camera kits to the system. The codes for these are based on the type of lenses and illumination used for the Sharp cameras. We can, in our example here, if you take a look here, just expanded the part number up here. It's our mobile Sharp kit. So if we take a look at it, we've got a single Sharp with a 16mm lens. That's this part of it here, using IR illumination, which is designated by the code 850. As we can see from the part number, this is a hard-mounted kit as opposed to a portable unit. Alright, now let's take a look at how we'll be activating our systems. So we're going to start with Omnicast, and I'm going to pull up our system here. Just bring that over. And let's bring up our Omnicast server admin. So we have 3 ways we can activate the license. If the server is connected to the internet and can reach the Genetec server, we can use the online activation. And that's this button right here. In this case, we don't need to worry about exporting the validation key. The server admin will transmit that information itself. We can just click on the Activate License from the Web button here. And so we're going to do that. And it's going to ask us for our system ID and password. And so I'm just going to put that in here. So we'll say OK, it's alright to send secure information over, and it's going to give us a list of unactivated licenses. So in this case, we have a directory available, so we're going to activate that. And it just takes a minute. It's basically getting the information from our server, and it says the license has been successfully configured. So now we can close the activation button, and it's going to ask us to restart the services. And it's just going to pause for a second there. And because this is a new system that I installed, we don't have an extension. It's just warning me that I need to add one for the archiver. And as you can see, everything comes up fine here. We've got our company name, the system ID, the package name. There's no expiration for this. And we can see our directory and our archiver components here as well. Okay, now for our second and third method of activation, we're going to be using Security Center. At the moment, we do not have the online activation option in Security Center. Activation is done under the directory component here. Now this is a normal message. The license format is unknown. Basically, I don't have a license on here since I just installed it. So it's going to warn me that it's basically looking at an invalid key that's in there, which is actually empty. So we can just close that. That's not a problem. Okay. So as you can see, there's no web activation button here. So the first thing we're going to do, we've got either file or clipboard activation. So what we'll do, we're going to use the importing and saving of files to do this activation. And this would be used in a situation where the server does not have internet access, and we need to transport the keys to and from another machine that does have internet access. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save them into a folder on my drive, and basically I'm going to, we can use that basically like you'd use a flash drive if you were actually on site, and then I'd go over to a machine here and do the activation. Okay, so the first step, we need to save our validation key, and we click on this button here to save the validation key to a file. And we're going to specify where we want to save it to. We have a folder here called Licensing, so I'm going to save the validation key here. And I'm just going to specify that we're doing Security Center for this one. And again, it gives me the warning because it's checking the license again. Okay. So now we can see from my licensing folder, there's the validation key we created. And what I'm going to do now, basically, I'm going to copy this over to my PC that does have internet access. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is actually pull up my GTAP. Okay, so this is on my local machine. Okay, so I'm going to sign in with my my GSC license here, my Security Center full license. And I'm just going to grab the password here as well. And there we go. Okay. So don't forget as well the passwords are case sensitive. So now I can see from here that my license has not been activated. I can expand this as well to see the details. And you can see again, not activated. So from here, what I would do is I'd click on the activate my license, and I'd browse to either my network drive or to the USB key and grab the validation key. And there it is right there. Now I'm going to submit that, and it's going to process it and create the license key for me. It's just taking a second. It's going to transmit that information. And voila, we've got our license key created. Now I'm just going to download that here. I'm going to save the file. And it's going to ask me where I want to put that. And I want to change the location. I'm going to go back to, this is basically my, what would be my USB key. I'm going to save that there, and I'm going to close this. Now one thing to point out while we're in here, now that I've got this activated, if we make any changes to any of the part numbers or anything like that in the system, what we can do is basically we can download the license key. And what that's doing is creating a license key based on the validation key that we originally gave it, but it's giving it all the information that we have currently in the system on the server. So you would just download that key, save it like I just did, and you can do the import like we're just about to do now. Okay, so now we'll go back over to our system here. And the first thing I want to do, I'm going back and I'm finding, this is my license file here. This is on my, basically what I'm using as my USB key. And I'm going to copy this over onto the server itself. And I can see I've got that there. So now what we want to do, we want to activate the license, and we're going to import the key from a file. And you can see this is our license right here. We'll just pick that, we'll open it up. And don't forget to hit the apply on top here. So now basically what we're seeing here, we've got the different information we've got here. So it has no expiration date. There's our system ID, our company name. The other thing that's interesting is you can actually see the SMA information here as well. So if we bring our GTAP window back up, you could either see it from in here, clicking on the SMA information. There's our SMA, there's our contract number. Or what we can do is, if we're actually on the server, you can see that that's the same thing right here. So that's a good way to check. The other thing we can look at is you can see the history of the system as well. So this is basically from the last time you downloaded the validation key. So if any parts were added, anything like that, you can see that it's been added on here. So that way is another good way to tell whether your system is up to date with any parts that you've purchased. Okay. Alrighty, so the third activation that we can do, that's a case where the server has an internet connection. or if we're using a remote desktop connection, which I happen to be doing at the moment, to get to the server to another PC that has internet access. So instead of using files, we're going to use the clipboard to store our information. So in this example, I'm going to use a temporary demo license. So we'll be going through the Genetec website instead of our GTAP to do our activation. Okay. So again, it's the what we'll do is we're going to save the copy the validation key to the clipboard, and then I'm going to bring up my Genetec website. So we're going over here and we're going into the demo license section. And I have a temporary demo license that I'm going to use for this situation. And I'm going to put in my password as well. And we need to remember it's case sensitive. And I don't think I wanted to remember that password. So now we're getting logged in here. This is our demo license tool. I'm just going to expand that out a little bit. And basically we can see it's not activated yet. So we're going to activate the license. And we're going to paste the information that we grabbed from the clipboard. Alright, so now that's come through. It said the license has been created, and we can click here to download it. And what I'm going to do in this case, I'm actually going to open it. I'm going to select the whole thing. I'm going to copy it into the clipboard. And then we're going to go back over to our Security Center machine. And I'm going to paste the license key from the clipboard. And it didn't like that for some reason. Okay, so we still have the old one on there. That's basically if the information went through. I think there's just a problem with my connection here. That would basically take that and put that through, and we'd have our demo license activated here. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that down, and that's our activation there. Okay, so now that we've seen our licenses being activated, I'd just like to quickly summarize some of the points we went over today. The Genetec licensing system is a means of controlling the hardware and software that can connect to a system. The licenses attached to a system have parts that regulate the number of entities that can connect to the server that the license has been applied to. The validation key is used to take a snapshot of the system, and that is used to build a license key. The license key tells the system what to look for to know it is on the right machine. If it doesn't find the same information, the software won't run on that server. System IDs are used to identify systems, and depending on the type of system, can be activated by various means, such as online activation or via the Genetec or GTAP websites. Most full licenses will be activated through the GTAP, with the exception of temporary demo licenses and older systems. The contents of licenses are controlled by the parts that have been added to it. A base package is used to group similar items that will be common for all licenses of that type, and other parts that can be added to it from there. Some options come with a base package for free, and other license options are parts are charged for. The packages available for the Omnicast and Synergis as part of Security Center are Standard, Pro, and Enterprise. The main differences between them are the maximum number of connections of the key components. For Omnicast, this would be things like camera and archiver connections. For Synergist, this would reflect more on the number of cardholders and readers, and for Security Center as well. And the Security Center license options will also determine which software packages will be included, such as Omnicast through Federation, Synergist, and AutoVu version 4.4. Now we're just going to go over a few frequently asked questions. So in the first question, if additional connections or parts are purchased for a license, do we need to have the license reset and then reactivate it with a new validation key? So the answer is basically, as long as nothing has changed on the server that would be reflected in the validation key, we do not need to reset the license. We can simply get a new license file from the GTAP and import it in the server admin. The second question, what happens if a piece of hardware is changed on the server or we have to do a system restore? If the system information is gathered by the server admin and used in the creation of the license file does not match with the current system, it will invalidate the license. So similarly, if the registry or config files that hold the validation key and license key information are overwritten and no longer match the system information, we'll need to clear those out and generate a new validation key. The GTAC can assist you with this on either the Omnicast or Security Center platform. Alright, in our third situation, basically we need help. The license isn't valid, but it's Saturday, and we can't get through to someone to reset it. What can we do? So from your license information screen, you can download a 5-day temporary license. It's going to ask you for a new validation key at that time as well. Just give us a call when we're open, and we can take care of doing a reset on the license. So our fourth question, what is the recommended internet browser for use in activating licenses on the GTAP site? Our recommended browser is Internet Explorer version 7 or 8. Some customers have had a little trouble retrieving license information using other browser software. Now our fifth question, I upgraded my system licenses on the GTAP, but due to delays did not have a chance to upgrade the software on my servers. I recently applied a new license file, and now my license has expired. What happened? So the answer to this question, basically once a system has been upgraded by either a Genetec representative or through the GTAP, the system for the previous system the system for the previous version is assigned an expiration date 30 days from the time of the system upgrade. If you're aware that this will be a problem, you can contact us to have the expiration date extended. And our last question, I'm logged into the GTAP with my personal information, but in the list of system IDs in the system browser, I don't see the system I'm looking for. Where did it go? So in order to keep the client's information safe, the only system IDs that are available for browsing are the ones where your company is listed as an integrator, distributor, or end user. If you believe you should be listed as one of those three for the Genetec if you believe you should be listed as one of those three for the license in question, you can contact your regional sales manager and we can get that straightened out for you. Alright, so our time's just about up. I'd like to thank you for attending today. Our next GTAC Tech Talk webinar will be held on July 8th. Sorry, I didn't fill in the information there. It's actually going to be on Security Center Access Control Tools. So your comments and feedback are always appreciated, and those can be left on the GTAP forums. So for now, we'll just leave the webinar open for a few minutes in case you have any additional questions. And once again, I'd like to thank you very much and wish you a very good day.